Meeting to order with Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oops, okay. Roll call. Casey Barney. Yeah, fine. Lee Sharps. Here. Kathleen DeWolf. Here. Eli Badger. Here. Fran Newton. Okay, we have minutes from 8/5/19. Any comments, corrections?
I had none, and I'd like to thank Kathleen for running the fine meeting.
Yes.
It was just full of all sorts of things that we needed
Okay,
to
yes, thank you, Kathleen, for filling in. I'm sorry I couldn't make it.
That's all right. You're welcome.
Any comments, corrections? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of Monday, August 5th as written.
I'll do that.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain?
Yep.
Yeah.
So what's that? 302.
No.
They weren't there.
I know.
Non-whatever. Non-vote, abstain.
Great, thank you.
Non-vote, no vote. We weren't here, so I can't make a comment. All right. Ashland, new business, Ashland Town Library tree removal. Charlie?
Yes. A couple weeks ago, I think it was, Craig? Yeah. We had a tree that fell at the library. DPW has offered to remove that tree. Before we went ahead and did that, we felt that we should have conversation with the Board of Selectmen. The Scribner trustees said that they were okay with that. Tom Peters was in the office today.
Wait, can I interject and say that a majority of the Scribner trustees said that they were okay with that? Because I'm a Scribner trustee and I'm not okay with that.
Yes, it does say
Yes.
the majority of the Scribner board.
Yeah. I was going
I
to
didn't
read.
know.
At the base
I was
of
just
the
about
letter.
ready to say I was going to read a letter.
Oh, what
Okay.
letter?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it says, Dear Charlie Smith, Ashland Town Manager, on behalf of the Scribner Memorial Board, we wish to thank you and the town departments, highway, electric, fire, police, and all the individuals who helped for their quick work in dealing with the fallen tree limb on the Scribner property that blocked the sidewalk and roadway. Although the management of this property is by the Scribner trustees rather than the select board as voted by the people, it is still town property, and we very much appreciate the department's efforts. The highway department superintendent has offered to manage the removal of what remains of the tree as a safety measure. The Scribner board accepts this offer with much appreciation. In the past, we have always dealt directly with department heads with similar situations. Having received your email, it seems there is indecision in this matter. Therefore, if you decide to extend the offer of the highway department superintendent, we accept with appreciation. If you decide not to extend the offer, we thank you for your consideration and will deal with the situation ourselves. Sincerely, majority of the Scribner Memorial Board.
Okay.
So,
You didn't see it?
I have seen this letter. This letter circulated via email last night about 8 p.m. And I responded to the Scribners with, I did not approve of this for two reasons. Number one, my understanding is that whenever you're going to spend or accept funds, you need to do that at a publicly posted meeting. And this was not a publicly posted meeting, and I explained and there wasn't everyone on the email. Mark Ober was not on that email. I added him to my reply, so it was just between Rick Perret, Tom Peters, and Dick Ogden, and then to me. And I responded that I didn't think, number one, that we could make this decision on an email chain, that this was an accepting of funds or a spending of funds that needs to be at a publicly posted meeting, which needs to be posted at least 24 hours in advance.
Yep.
Secondly, I don't think, listen, I'm in the market for funds for the Scribner Trust. I think this trust is going to be depleted in about 17 to 36 months. There's very little money in this trust. I'm in the market for any help we can get. But I don't think legally that town funds can be used to take down this tree, because it's my understanding of reading the Scribner will that when Emma Scribner left her home along with an endowment, I researched this thanks to David Rule's direction, I found at the state archive she left $40,475.70. The income of which we can spend, so zero is $40,475.70. My understanding of her leaving her home and this endowment to the town, with the caveat that should there be no more use for the building or more funds for the building, that it would be torn down and turned into a park. My understanding is that she intended that her house would in no way become an Ashland taxpayer burden.
In the grounds.
And the grounds, that it would become self-sufficient. If the town takes down this tree, and I have no problem with taking down the tree needs to come down. But if town funds do this, in my opinion, it's in violation of the Scribner will. Now, I have a few questions, which I did send to you all, that I think need to be answered about where authority lies, both with the Board of Selectmen and with the Scribners. And one of my questions has to do with, can town funds be used in any way for the building? In my opinion, they cannot. I think this is something that town council needs to answer.
Yes, David.
Town council has answered the question.
And
The answer was that town funds could be used for the property. That the language just says that the Scribner funds can only be used on the property, but doesn't mean that other funds cannot be used on the property. We sent this letter, this question, well, library trustees and the previous town administrator to the town attorney several years ago, because this interpretation is that, the funds no other funds can be used on the property is held by most of the Scribner trustees.
Right.
But we think it was a misinterpretation.
Craig, could I ask you what the condition of the tree is in terms of imminent danger?
Well, it's rotted in the middle.
Okay.
So if we get another big storm, it's in danger of hitting the monument at the Legion.
Okay.
And it's leaning right towards there.
Okay.
So it needs to come down sooner or later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if we do it, there'll be just a regular work day. It's not
Right.
going to cost overtime.
So there's not a lot of cost to the town
Oh,
in
no,
terms of
it'll take
taking
us
it down.
a couple hours, 2 or 3 hours. And
Yeah.
Are you gonna need traffic control?
No, it'll all be done right in the parking
Okay.
lot area. The parking's, we'll pull up on the parking, where you park, we're on the side of the sidewalk.
My issue with this is the whole 91A, that we must be cognizant that everyone, elected, appointed, that does any business for the town of Ashland,
Yep.
follow 91A.
Yep.
A consensus by email does not.
No, it's not. I totally agree with
Okay,
you. We've had that lecture within our board.
We never get, and we
Right.
also need a written document that can go on the file. Who, what, where, and why.
From the attorney?
No, from the Scribners.
Yeah.
Oh,
Who's
I thought you
asking?
meant the attorney's opinion too.
Who's asking? What are you asking? Why are you asking? And where are you asking? Simple. That needs to be documented, and it must be done at a meeting, so everyone, all the Scribners
Right.
have the ability to respond.
An opportunity at the same time.
At the same time,
Yep.
and then that comes to the town.
Right.
Right.
And it goes into the file. So we have, none of these, we can no longer have these verbal agreements, because they're misunderstood at times, that some of the language gets forgotten over the time, and then it becomes, well, that's the way we've always done it.
Well, I know.
And we can no longer operate on that system anymore.
What we can do is make the offer contingent upon them holding a public meeting and discussing this and getting an agreement in public per 91A.
Craig, did you put the tree at the corner of Main and Pleasant? The top of that is dead also.
Yeah, they
that's
need
a
to
good
look
idea.
at that as
Yeah.
well.
But I'd be concerned about this one.
Yeah.
This one
That's for
first,
future
and-
reference. And given what you said, and that's why I asked you the condition of the tree,
Yeah.
that we can't afford to have this be spinning forever and
No.
ever.
No.
And so, I would suggest that we could, I'm comfortable that it's not going to cost the town a lot, and from what David says, I'm comfortable that, we have the authority to do this. But to Amanda's point, it should be discussed in a publicly announced meeting on the part of the Scribners, and then they can
Yeah.
send us the minutes of that meeting.
Okay.
What does the
That
rest
sounds
of the
good.
board think?
I agree with that.
Yeah. Susan, did you have your hand up?
Can I just put a point in as a Memorial Park trustee?
Yes, I was gonna ask you.
Yes.
Could the use of heavy equipment be somewhat mindful of what they're backing into in Flag Island?
We
Yes.
did not hit that. That was a car.
It was hit?
So I'm surprised I would never leave something that we hit. That was a car, there was skid marks right up to it. Probably should have called Will, but there was some car hit that, it wasn't us.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe Susan can respond about Memorial Park. There also was a problematic tree in Memorial Park, and the town did not take that down. Memorial Park trustees.
Memorial Park
that big
trustees
one,
are
yeah.
charged with, again, by the voters of the town for the maintenance.
Yeah.
And
This is-
even when Mark came before this board, he was more or less being informative rather than asking for permission. But again, it became something more than it had to be.
Well, it usually does. So, and I'm just cognizant of this tree in danger of injuring somebody or injuring property. And I think that is the most overriding factor at this point, that it needs to come down. So that's just my thought. Anybody else? Casey?
No, I agree with you.
Eli? Any thoughts?
If this tree is in imminent danger of coming down, it should be taken down.
It should be.
And
Absolutely.
we have the ability, with the personnel that we have, to do that. It still is our property. We have been through the arguments, pro and con, before about whether outside money can be used on the Scribner property, and that has been decided at more than one time that we could. I have no problem with taking down a tree that the next time could actually do some damage.
Absolutely.
Well, if it's an emergency, it would be a different, shouldn't we just go ahead and,
Do it.
Yeah, but I do
If it's
think
an
it needs to go
emergency.
back to the Scribners, that they need to be
Right.
told that this kind of decision-making is totally improper and, will
Right.
not be looked upon favorably in the future. But, given the nature of the emergency, perhaps it's better to just do it and be done with it.
yeah.
What is your schedule?
We can
I
do it
think that-
tomorrow, or the next day, whatever. I mean, if you wanna wait.
I don't
Well,
know.
What's the
storm-
weather
I don't think we
forecast?
The
should
weather
wait.
forecast
It's
is,
nice tomorrow.
yeah, it's nice tomorrow.
You know,
Rain,
I think he
rain on
means like
Thursday,
windy.
yeah.
Or a
But we would
storm.
probably do it first thing in the morning to avoid the heat
Yeah.
of the day
Yeah.
tomorrow.
But Amanda has questions that she would like.
Well, that she needs to take up with her board, I would think.
For town council. I thought that I could bring them before you as a board of selectmen appointed Scribner. That was my thinking.
Yeah, but you're still speaking for the board.
No, I'm just
No.
speaking
No,
for
she's
myself
not.
to know
She's
what our
not.
job
All right.
is.
Okay.
I don't know what,
Yeah.
for
Okay.
example, there was an email that Charlie sent out to all the Scribners, and you invited us to come today.
Yeah,
But I'm the only one that
Yeah,
can.
Right.
yeah.
And
Right.
so one of my questions is,
Right.
do you have the authority to call us? Maybe I don't have to be here.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I feel that I do, and I just don't know what my position is as Amanda Loud, Scribner trustee.
Yeah.
I don't know, what legally can and can't be done. I know the Scribners take a stipend every year. This is added up to $20,000. I took a calculator. Is this legal? I don't know. I don't know what can be done. And I think that there's some questions. David pointed out that it has gone before legal, that outside funds can be used. Are those town funds that can be used if they're outside funds? Or is it somebody's donation?
The question was town funds.
yeah, this is town funds.
Okay, town
Yeah.
funds. Because that was one question I had, but I think.
Well, I know if the
others-
town accepts outside funds, we do have to have a public hearing if
Yeah.
we accept them.
But I
But this
just
is
have
a town,
other
is
questions.
essentially town
Property.
property,
Yeah.
so, and again, we're protecting town citizens.
Right, no,
So-
I'm not opposed to
Yeah.
the tree coming down. But many of my questions do have to deal with what would happen if the trust does deplete,
Yeah.
like I think it will.
Yeah.
There's no clear way forward on that, on where authority lies with the
Yeah.
Board of Selectmen and where authority lies with the Scribners.
And
Yeah.
that's,
And I would like to have that answered now
yeah.
by
And-
town
and
council.
I do think that that's something that we need to explore, because this is, you bringing this to the attention of the board was fairly new to those of us who haven't been in that kind of a loop. And clearly, there's a
Right.
lot of discussions that need to be had. This isn't the time to do it, but
But
we
I
will
would like to
certainly.
have this answered if you
Yeah,
could.
we will certainly take that up.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so in the meantime, do we have a motion to take the tree down?
I think we have
I
to.
think we have to.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think
Want
waiting
somebody
would be
want to make the
foolish.
motion?
yeah, you're right.
I'll make the motion to take the tree down.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Further discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Craig. I appreciate you helping out. Okay, fire station, private agency using the fire department building.
Yeah, there was, I guess you could say, concerns among some members of the board about people using town facilities. We came across one that the fire chief had been asked to use the room where we have our meetings. Let me take a step back. Fortunately, he was trying to be here, but he couldn't make
Yeah.
it. But anyways, he said that there's a group that is asked to use that room.
On a regular basis, or just on a one-off?
Just a couple times, but
Okay.
it led into a larger discussion as to what does the board want to do when we receive these requests.
Well, I think we need a policy. I
Yes.
mean, I know when they use the beach, we have a policy that we followed in the past, and they were charged for the use of the property.
Right.
And we've done that with Memorial Park. There was a wedding there, and
Right.
they paid us. When they're using town property, and we're paying for the electricity and everything else, and it's an outside agency, we should have some policy
Yes.
about reimbursement.
We need a
but
policy
we-
in general
we do.
about a
We-
form,
yeah,
fill out a
yeah,
form so
absolutely.
that, and come before us,
Yeah.
for final.
Yeah, I think it needs to be
approval before
something that
something
we
happens.
understand. Exactly. We need
So-
to know if they have insurance coverage. I know that people can't use the school unless they have
Right.
insurance coverage.
Right.
That has come up before, and I
Okay.
think the same
Right.
thing should apply to the town.
Okay.
I
Yep.
have no issue with outside groups using it, but there has to be a policy in terms of reimbursement and
Yes,
insurance
I agree.
coverage and liability.
So
I agree.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
So-
why don't I go back to the drawing board and get some policy for the board
I
to
would. I would.
adopt?
That'd be
After our
great.
meeting with Primex,
Mm-hmm.
I realized that we are lacking in this department.
Mm-hmm.
There are some for Parks and Rec, but there's no policy for the beach.
Yeah.
There's none for the fire
Yeah.
station.
Yeah.
That we need to have a standard form
Yep.
to
Yes.
indemnify the town.
Yeah,
Whoever's using it
absolutely.
must have insurance.
Right.
Because this is what we found, that question that everybody says, because it's on town property, you're automatically
Right.
insured. That is not true.
Right.
It is not true.
Right.
Right.
And they gave us the tools, the templates, the language to use, going forward, and I was gonna have this under select board items, I would really strongly suggest that we have a meeting, and we sit down, we talk about these things, that we need to remove the risk from the town.
We do.
And transfer it to the people who want to use our property.
Absolutely.
Right.
So
But
Charlie,
we can't
if you...
do it, excuse me.
No.
We can't do it piecemeal. We
No.
need to have a
Absolutely.
standardized form to do it.
So Charlie, if you could draft something up
Yeah, I'll
and
get something.
we can discuss it
Yeah.
at a future work session.
Yeah.
Is this something that they're asking for soon, or is this a general question?
It's soon. He said the group teaches crisis intervention.
Okay. So it's sort of
Yeah,
related
it's
to the
through the
work
school.
that they do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, through the school. So maybe we let them this one time, but in the meantime, we'll work on policy.
Is it
going
a
forward.
nonprofit group?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, this sounds like an important topic for life safety.
It does.
So, I don't personally have an issue with that in a short term, but I agree with Kathleen
Yeah, me
that we
too.
do need,
Yeah.
when these things come up, this should be a no-brainer. We shouldn't have to discuss it every
Yeah.
time.
Charlie, well, I told him he'll have to get a new file cabinet in there. When it comes out, he'll be able to open the drawer and pull
Yeah.
the document
Yeah.
out, because we do not have
Yeah.
this stuff.
Right.
And
Right.
it's become very
Yeah.
problematic.
Yeah, it's important.
Okay, do you need a vote or a consensus good enough?
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll get
Yeah, I
some.
don't think
I'll
we-
get some
we don't need
policy.
to vote.
that
Okay.
By
covers
the
all
way,
that.
where does these funds go? Do they go to the department? Does it go into
No,
the
it goes
general
in the
fund?
general fund.
General.
Goes in the fund.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, Ashland DPW and Ashland School District Equipment Sharing Agreement.
Okay, so we received a concern, I guess you could say, I don't know, or a complaint from a resident about a former employee who works for the town using town equipment. He was given permission, he works at the school, and so the concern was whether or not there was coverage. So what I did was reach out to Primex, and if a school employee that works for the school uses town equipment, there is coverage. But the catch is there's two different pools. Let's call them A for the school and B for the town. Primex recommended that if we went down this road of sharing equipment, that we get a contract written up with the school, that's what's before you tonight.
Right.
So I've worked with council on this agreement about basically what is give and take, what are the expectations. Some of the expectations are on our end, if we're using the equipment, they can't use the equipment. DPW would like to use their lawnmower equipment. And in the end, it's really trying to work together with the school and trying to save taxpayer money, because otherwise the school would have to contract this out.
I'm all in favor of it, and I read the contract, and it, to me, looks very straightforward.
Yeah, I
I
read
mean, I've always said we're one town and we should work together. And as long as, there's agreement that we have priority over
Right.
a plow in a snowstorm, or,
Right.
there's agreement in terms of who's liable for it, which seems to be spelled out. I think
It
it is a good thing. It is a good cost-saving measure for both the school and for the town, so.
I'm going to repeat
Absolutely.
what I said before. This was a verbal request.
Yep.
We need to know who,
Yep.
what, when, and why.
Yep.
Did this person have the authority to
Yep.
even request this?
Yep.
Is this a school board request? We need to have this documented, and
Well, again, things come up at the last minute. You can't necessarily wait for a school board to approve the use of a plow.
what I
No.
said was who requested
Okay,
this.
okay.
Was it
It could be
This
in writing.
specifically.
This specifically, did the school board make the request? All I
To make
know,
this contract?
to ask to
No,
use
to
the
ask-
to
Okay,
use the
okay.
equipment. My understanding is, once again, it was a verbal request. We need to get out of the habit
Right.
of responding to verbal requests.
Yes, David.
It was discussed at the school board
Okay.
meeting the last month.
Okay.
And the agreement essentially was to have the town write a document,
Mm-hmm.
and they would
Okay.
review it.
But-
There you go.
And so,
But we don't
again,
have that information.
But-
That information
It'd be in the
wasn't.
minutes of the school board.
okay, it's in the minutes of the school board, and now we have an agreement, and if we agree to it and the school agrees
We
to it.
don't have the agreement.
We don't have an
No,
agreement.
this one.
Well, this one
This
she's talking
we
about,
have.
this
No.
example. This one.
This is not actually shared equipment.
No.
No, it's not shared equipment.
This is what this says. What Charlie just said, that they
It would
were
be
sharing
to share
equipment.
equipment.
And
Yes.
it's not
No,
shared
it's to
equipment.
share equipment.
It's to share
To share
equipment.
equipment.
It's not
You
shared
still-
equipment. They have a lawnmower we want to use. We have a plow and a sidewalk plow they want to use. That's not
Okay.
shared equipment. It's
Town's
sharing
No, it
equipment.
does say to share
It's
equipment.
Town's equipment.
Yeah.
So
This-
it's like using the school for meetings. I mean,
Use
we're.
of town equipment by the school.
I don't see any difference. We use the
Yep.
school on a regular basis
Yep.
for meetings, and they don't charge us anything.
No,
in
but
terms
we
of-
had to sign,
we had to sign an agreement, and that's all we're asking is to
Once
sign an
again,
agreement.
we need a document from the authority requesting this. This is the action taking on a verbal request. Well, David said
But
it's,
he already went to the town, he already went to the school board.
Yeah.
but we need it in writing to add to our
Well, I think
files.
it is, right?
I haven't seen anything except,
Well,
The
I mean,
contract.
hey, if the board agrees on this, and then when we send it to them, and they disagree, I guess we know
Yeah.
where we stand.
I just have a problem, I do have a problem with the use of will and shall.
yeah.
It's one or the other, not a combination.
I think we need to review this.
Has legal reviewed this?
This came from legal.
It came from legal. All right.
That doesn't,
I mean, which line are you talking
Oh,
about?
the school district shall be responsible, you say will be responsible.
No,
No.
shall is more affirmative.
Yeah.
Yeah,
shall is the more affirmative, Throughout this document, there are wills. The school district agrees it will be responsible. No, the two.
Yeah, I see that.
So
Yeah.
it's shall. I'm just saying, go through,
And change all the wills to
And-
shalls?
change the shall. Be consistent.
It should be
Consistent.
consistent.
They mean the same thing though, right?
No, they
No,
don't.
they don't.
Shall is imperative.
Yes.
Will
No
is,
choice.
is
Have to do
less,
it. Have to.
is less imperative. It's a subtle difference, but
Yeah.
there is a difference. Shall, you have no choice.
There are a couple of other word choices in here that
Well, why don't you give your comments to Charlie?
I will.
And he can take them back to legal and clean up the wording. But we can agree in principle that we want to enter in such an agreement,
Yes,
can't we?
yes.
So we could have a motion to approve the agreement pending clarification of wording
Well, once
and
again,
approved by legal.
do they need it like today, tomorrow?
unless she wants to use the lawnmower.
No, we don't
Yeah.
need it tomorrow.
Yeah, good point.
So,
So he's not gonna get the wording. We can look at it again and vote on it at that point, I think.
why don't we do
but-
it at our next meeting?
All right, we can
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
We'll get that updated and
Yep, thank you,
put it on
Charlie.
next agenda.
Ashland Electric Squam River Hydro Agreement.
Okay.
Oh, that was interesting, wasn't it? Mr. Badger?
Okay,
Yes.
Charlie, you want to give us the background on this?
Okay, the background, let me start,
Yeah, boy.
yeah, a little bit at a different sort of section with all this. Long story short, what is going on with the electric department is they are committed to purchasing too much power. Back in 2018, the department committed to a purchase agreement with VEPSA. VEPSA is Vermont Public Power Supply Authority. That's where the department, or us, we get almost all of our power from, subsequent to Squam River Hydro. In 2018, the department was committed to purchase 26.7 million kilowatts through the year of 2022. On average, the department sells 22 million kilowatts a year. So basically, we are committed to purchasing in excess of 4.7 million kilowatts. Now, the average price the department pays is 0.051 a kilowatt. So there's an estimated loss that is occurring every year at the department to the tune of $236,000 a year.
Wow.
Part of that reason
Yep.
is that the buying was based upon a new business
Right.
coming into town.
Right, right.
Sure.
That
And-
got delayed.
Yes, and now part of that loss is line loss, meaning the infrastructure on the lines could be, as we go forward, possibly updated to reduce some of that line loss, right? The second part is we do resell some of that to recoup the loss. Okay, that is purchased by ISO New England.
Yeah,
So it's not an extreme 236, it's kind of an average.
Yeah.
That doesn't include the power that we're purchasing from Squam River Hydro. Basically, it's just too much. We spend about annually, it would save $100,000, but the bill I've seen is about $10,000 a month.
so it's power that we don't need, is what you're saying, from Squam River. It's way in excess of what our needs are.
Yeah.
And what is our obligation vis-à-vis any contract with Squam River?
90-day notification
Okay.
for termination of
So,
agreement.
okay. It seems to me that
What
it's a
about the minimum
no-brainer.
That's what we have to do.
What about the minimum damages?
Minimum damages.
Yes, page 3, section 6.
Yeah, but that relates to, that's on them. Under the,
Seller terminates.
the seller terminate is what it was.
Yeah.
Trying to see. It relates to the seller.
Yeah. If the seller terminates the agreement, not the buyer, and we're the
Yeah.
buyer. Yeah,
Yeah, and will be
Right.
terminated.
right.
Yeah, that's for non-payment. Gives them the option to terminate based on us not paying them.
Right.
Well, we don't get any green credits for this.
No, we
either.
don't, and given the choice, I'd rather be purchasing hydropower than anything from VEPSA, but we are locked into a contract, unfortunately,
Right.
till 2022. And so,
I thought it was 2023.
Yeah, 2023.
oh,
Yeah.
okay, 2020.
But ends 2023. Now,
Okay.
in regards to the contract, part of the reason why we met VEPSA with Eli and Kathleen was there to see what we can do to save some money, because the department, I looked at the audit, since 2016 the department has lost $578,000.
Wow.
Of that loss is $370,000 in depreciation. Depreciation is a number that is on your expense or income, profit and loss statement.
Right.
It's not actual something tangible,
Yeah.
but instead it's supposed to be an expense that goes back into your capital
Right.
expenditures. So basically, you can, if you take that out of the 578 loss, there's still, the department has lost 208,000 since at least 2016.
Wow.
We're trying to do everything we possibly can to
No,
start saving.
and I think
Right.
this is one thing we can do.
So again, part of the reason why we sat down with VEPSA to see that what we can do, they offered the possibility of what's called a blend and extend. What that means is that they will sell us power through, I guess, another company at a lower rate. But the thing is, that might free up liquidity, but then in 2023, the price goes up.
Yeah. Well, clearly, we have a lot of big issues to discuss vis-à-vis the whole electric department budget. But none of that really has anything to do with saving 100,000 plus a year
Right.
at the moment for
Right.
power we don't need to purchase. Right?
Yep.
Other thoughts?
I just assume see them gone.
Okay,
Yeah,
so,
we don't even,
so
the
I-
discussion was,
We need a
we don't
motion.
even know what we're buying.
that's right. So we need a motion to terminate the purchase power agreement between Squam River Hydro LLC and the Town of Ashland Electric Department.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, Ashland water user charge base fee charge. Schedule a public hearing. Charlie?
Another department that on the water side is struggling financially speaking. As with the water and sewer brings in extra funds through the septic receiving project, but that you can't commingle the funds. They have to be, that's sewer and septic, water. The rates have been low for quite some time. The department, in order to administer things, relies on the strictly their revenue. Since we haven't raised them for quite some time, I pulled the audit for this department, and since 2016, there's been a $506,000 loss and depreciation of $436,000, so about a $70,000 loss on the water side. Long story short, nothing has changed on the user or the rates in quite some time. This is a request to go to a public hearing to continue that conversation about raising them.
Comments, Eli?
He said most of it.
Okay.
I will also say this, Wooded and Curran has been completing an asset management plan for us. Part of what that is to come up with a rate study. I'm having a meeting with them on Thursday, so I might be able to have more information for you guys to make a decision before the public hearing.
Okay. Do we need that number before we vote to have the public hearing, or we can schedule a public hearing and then
The public hearing is for public comment
Okay.
for
All right.
how you guys
All
want
right,
to
but
vote.
we should
Right.
know before
Yeah.
we go into
Yeah.
that, what the
Yeah.
proposed rate
Yeah.
structure is going to
Yeah.
be. So how long, how
Absolutely.
far, is it like 2 weeks' notice that you have to give?
Wasn't a rate set in April, but
It
just never went through?
went through. It was discussed, but
It
never implemented.
was,
Right.
the rate has been raised, but never to the extent that it should have
Okay.
been.
Right.
The history lesson is back in 2000, when the Board
Yeah.
of Selectmen still had control of the department, the utilities. Water rates were about $5.85, and the Board of Selectmen took them to $2.
Yeah.
Since then, we've been trying, as an ex-commissioner, we tried to bring things up slowly. The first asset management we had done was suggested that we had to make a 19% increase, which we made a 15%, because once again, trying not to hit the subscriber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Shock
it's only,
resist them, yeah, shock.
because there's only 550 subscribers
Yeah.
to the water system.
Yeah.
Trying to hit them could have been difficult. We reviewed it late last year and decided that just getting it back to where it was in 2000 at 585 something would increase would make us a bit more stable on the water side.
Now, as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, the rates have to cover the cost of operations plus money for
Capital
repair,
expenses.
capital expenses.
Yes.
And they don't at this point.
At this time,
Yeah,
they don't.
okay. So,
So the thought was maybe a public hearing at the end of September.
yeah,
I would like to, or will, if we go forward, I'll put this in the paper.
yeah,
We'll advertise it.
You shall.
I shall.
you shall,
Yeah.
yes, thank you, Lee.
So probably the work session in September would give me enough time.
Okay, that sounds good.
Right.
I think you should go ahead and plan that.
Yep.
Okay, CDBG, CDFA feasibility grant for Ashland Properties.
Okay, this is long time coming, so to
Yay.
speak.
I know.
I think I applied for this grant sometime last year. It was
Yes.
awarded in
Yeah.
May in 2019.
Will?
I turned it off.
Susan.
Susan,
Sorry about that.
it's okay.
Sounds like
Okay.
a theme from The Exorcist.
Okay, so
ahead.
I'll remind people about the history of what this is.
Yeah,
Consolidated.
Prior boards, residents, etc., stakeholders put a Brownsfield study, phase
Yes.
1 and
Right.
phase 2 of this project. That was completed by LRPC in conjunction with NHDES and Novus Engineering. We came to the point as to what's the next step. To
Right.
me, this is the next step.
Right.
This is a study that will basically tell us what can be done with this project. In particular, if you look at page 2 of the agreement, the proposal, and I'll read it for the folks here.
Yes.
The project understanding is that Warren Street Architects, TF Moran Structural, and Novus Engineering Civil Engineers will visit the site and make a visual assessment of the existing conditions and develop a list of hardships that may be encountered with the development of the property. Now, they will also make a recommendation for potential uses of the property and list potential funding sources for any development. And if the property is deemed unfit for redevelopment, Warren Street will make note of the hardships.
excellent.
Very excellent.
This is cool.
The attorney and I went through this thoroughly. That's what you see a lot of the scratch marks
Yeah.
are in here.
It's now talk
attorney-
about fine print.
Yeah, she kind of demanded that get taken out.
Yeah.
There's no taxation to this. This is strictly CDBG funds. It was approved by the state, and it's administered through CDFA.
I'm very excited about
I
this.
know.
This is information
Long
that
time
we
we've been
really,
working on
really
this.
need. Yep.
Years,
So,
years.
any questions, comments? The recommended motion is to enter in an agreement with Warren Street Architects for a feasibility report on the former L.W. Packard Mill building, and that's the Heath property, not Steve, but Scott Heath, and have the town manager sign the agreement on behalf of the town.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This is good stuff.
Good
How
stuff.
long will it take them to get this done?
I think they said 2 months.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
wonderful.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
they are all ready for this, and
Excellent.
the next step are well on its way.
Okay, well, here's hoping we get some good news. I'm not sure what the good news is, but I'm hoping we get some.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they.
Yeah, I'd be
Yeah,
very
it will.
interested. Okay, any other new business? Old business, town manager updates. Kathleen, would you like to move?
No, that's,
Yeah,
I keep
I
thinking that's
know.
gonna fall behind Casey's
Come
head.
eventually
sit
it
over here,
will.
Kathleen.
it's pretty
It's
bright.
just, it's like a hayride around here right now.
You know, you've got the sun shining right on you. Okay, go ahead, Charlie. Town
Okay,
manager updates.
these are our regular monthly updates from the departments.
Yep.
As usual, I'll read these off and give some highlights. Jumping right in, the library had 533 people visit the library in July.
That's
They
fabulous.
offered 6 programs that were attended by 38 people. Some events that are coming up at the end of the month. Friday, August 23rd at 7 p.m. is Teen Night. The book discussion group will meet on Monday, August 26th at 7 p.m. Sensory playtime for children is held every Friday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And our favorite,
Frank
I wonder if
Zappa.
Sarah knows this.
Yeah,
Comment, So Many Books, So Little Time by Frank Zappa.
I can relate to
I
that.
saw him.
Yeah,
That's,
musician.
that's really funny. Yeah, he's a musician, Charlie.
Yeah, before your time, Charles.
Wow.
These are,
He's really young.
I'm going to tell you a
Way
song.
before your time.
All right, son, go ahead.
Okay. Parks and Rec, Director Barney. Okay, she had 34 kids sign up for summer camp. They've been traveling all over the state, going to Lost River, Wellington State Park, Clark's Trading Post, the Bouncy House in Concord. Ian wants to thank the Common Man for donating ice cream for our camp.
Nice.
When their kids did Mardi Gras parade through town. And Craig, she wants to thank you and DPW and the fire department for helping out during Messy Olympics. How
Did you
was
get
that?
pictures?
That's-
That was good. Yeah.
That's
They
fun.
have fun.
That's a fun event.
Kids took swimming lessons. Ian wants to thank Savannah Thompson for helping with that. There was actually an incident at the beach. The snack shack was broken into, so she put in some cameras now.
Oh, boy.
And also wants to remind people that the speed limit by the beach is 15 miles per hour. Remember last year when we had the speed bump and all that
Yes.
stuff?
Yep. Remember.
Right.
Yeah, they're still speeding over there. But PD has been putting in a little bit more of a presence over there to
you.
try to get people to slow down a little bit. New poles were put in at the tennis court to replace the older rusted poles. The final day of summer camp was August 9th, and the final day for the beach was Sunday. I wonder if people went there today.
Yeah, did
Police department, dispatch service. What's that?
Isn't that early? Seems early.
Yeah.
Kids are going back
Kids
to
go back to school
Yeah.
next
Well, I
week.
know, but there's still public,
Yeah.
other public people.
They can get in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can get in.
Oh, it just
Yeah,
means.
it's no
civic-
lifeguards.
Oh,
Oh,
lifeguards.
okay.
Lifeguards and
lifeguards. Yeah.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Police department dispatch service, 399 calls. There was 116 incidents. 2 arrests were made. A warrant was served 4 accidents, 38 citations were given, and 5 parking tickets were served.
Okay.
As you know, staffing is a little bit short-staffed going on at the PD. We have 3 officers as we speak out of 6. Lieutenant Gray was promoted to sergeant, as you remember.
Other way around.
From
Sergeant
lieutenant.
Gray was promoted to lieutenant.
Lieutenant.
From sergeant to lieutenant.
Sergeant to lieutenant.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I'm confused a little bit. I'm trying to connect what he said here, but basically, they're short-staffed, and Officer Moretto is almost done academy training.
Oh, nice.
So I think sometime in September, he's due back to help them out a little bit.
Great.
PD, I'm sorry?
Monday.
Monday.
Nice.
Sooner than I,
Great.
You're behind the times.
Great.
I'm sorry?
You're behind the times.
I know. I am. There was a big arrest that happened with the PD and the DEA.
Right.
I think that's about it. I didn't,
Yeah, we thank the department.
Yes.
Yeah,
most
we thanked last
definitely.
time, I think,
Yes,
yeah. Fire department, Chief Heath had, in his department, had 52 total calls, 31 medical emergencies, 14 fire rescue calls, 7 motor vehicle accidents, and no service calls. But this last month was the implementation of the per diem program.
Right.
The per diem firefighters are on duty every day from 8 to 5 p.m. And during July, the crew responded to 32
Wow.
of the 52 emergencies that
That's
I just
wonderful.
mentioned.
Wow.
Really
Yeah.
working well.
Yeah. In the response time, they average 1.5 minutes.
That's
Wow.
fabulous.
Yeah. So they,
It is.
yep, it's pretty quick.
Absolutely.
Has it?
Great.
Yeah.
Good, good.
Good news.
Well worth it.
So other things that the per diem crew does, they work on several projects, do daily conduct, truck checks, station cleaning and training. The department had their typical July training of preparing target hazards, check the tracks, etc. They continue to install the backup cameras on their equipment. The hazard mitigation plan was completed. Chief,
Yep, are we gonna meet and edit that?
it's up to you. He said he's doing the basic edits on his end. He's more than welcome to sit down with anyone that wants to visit to review it.
Okay.
You're the only one that was on, I think, right? The only selectman?
No, Mardine came.
Yeah.
I came for,
Planning board came.
Planning
I
We're
came
the
for a
only
while.
selectmen.
When I was the only selectman, yeah.
Yeah.
Rusty.
Nope.
No,
Was he
I don't
there?
think,
I think for a couple, actually, yeah.
Couple, yeah.
Yeah.
Steve Foley started.
Steve
Yeah.
Foley. Yeah. Yeah.
we kind of,
Okay.
well, I looked at it and I couldn't remember without pulling out all the stuff. So if Steve finds anything, maybe he can share
Okay.
what it is. We won't have to sit down and meet.
All right. Okay. I'll make note of that.
Okay.
All right, water and sewer department. As in the month of July, some maintenance stuff that occurred. The meter repairs. Electric department was short-staffed at the time, and water and sewer guys help out with the meter reading.
Oh, nice.
Yep. Mowing and trimming at all water and wastewater facilities were done. 2 water service turn-ons were completed. They assisted with the grinder pump repair on Squam Shore Drive. Rusty and the guys removed and sent out the electric motor for blower number 2 for repairs. They repaired the transmitter at the water tower after lightning storm that occurred a couple weeks ago. They installed new chemical field lines at the water plant. A few things that have happened at the plant. They completed all the permit required lab tests. The discharge of effluent was done the week of July 15th, and monthly bacteria, pH, and alkalinity test for the water system. I brought with me, not included in this, is a couple updates about the septic receiving project. Over the next month, the remaining screening and grit channels will be poured. Channels will be water tightness tested and backfilled. Constructs will be notified when PRB, that's the contractor for this project, is ready so that the building erection can be officially scheduled. Because substation completion is scheduled for late fall, pavement subbase will be installed this year and final pavement will be done in the spring. Now, that might change because Craig is going to do some paving down at the transfer station, and we might try to get that done this year, not in the spring.
Are we going to have a ceremony at some point?
If snow doesn't fly, maybe, because they had a little bit of hang up when it came to pouring
Yeah, I
of the
understand that.
concrete. So the project completion date has been pushed back till December 8th.
Does it need to be at the project completion date? Can't we have something
Certainly, yes,
earlier?
certainly.
You know,
But
and
it's
just
Yeah.
pretend it's
Yeah.
done,
Yeah.
so that we
Yeah.
can get some positive press in this town?
Yeah.
I think,
Good
I
idea.
think we need to
Absolutely.
really make that happen, Charlie. I mean, this was a huge project,
Right.
and there's a lot of grant money involved, and a
Right.
lot of people worked very hard on this, and I think we
That's
need
right.
acknowledgement. So, and we should do it while the weather is still reasonable.
Yeah, make a note of that.
Okay.
Any questions about that? You know,
No.
electric department. We had 4 power outages in July. Two trees had fallen on Hicks Hill and Peppercorn Road. The Main Street lightning arrestor blew. New Hampton Village precinct had a pole that fell. They responded to 6 house service calls for tree trimming, repairs, new service, and temporary service. The department removed a tree on North Ashland Road. Also removed an old pole on Mill Street. This is a project that was completed for -33. We're still waiting for cable and the telephone companies to, move their lines over.
Hold your breath.
Yeah, they're a little slow. New Hampton Village Precinct. We're calling this the fish hatchery project because it's been completed in that area. The guys have been setting 2 new poles. They ran new service wire, transferred transformer, transferred a primary, moved an old pole, reattached some street lights, and removed service wires.
There is a branch hanging down from
Okay.
a tree on Thompson Street, and I don't know if it's impacting wires or if it's a DPW thing, but it's hanging straight down, and it's dying. So I'm afraid that come wind, it's gonna fall. So somebody should check that out.
Where is it?
Somewhere on Thompson Street before you get to my road. I just go under it all the time. Just drive up Thompson Street. When you fall into a hole, No, anyway. But I digress. Yeah, no, it's just pointing right straight down. It was damaged in some prior storm, so I'm just wondering if it's going to be a concern. So, okay,
We'll look into it.
all right, thank you.
Thanks. Tax collection. In July, the tax collector took in $605,667. Town clerk collection was $55,585. Of that, $15,401 went to motor vehicles. As a reminder, the clerk office hours for Friday are 7:30 to 11 a.m., but that's only for another couple more weeks to the end of August.
Okay,
And then she'll go back to her regular.
all right, thank you, Charlie. Project list.
Yeah, continuing right on, the Ashland Properties LW Packard Mill site, we just agreed to that agreement. Thompson Street, High Street, this is the water and sewer replacement project. If you look back in your packets, Craig reached out to another contractor to give us a couple other options on way to kind of expend. I don't know, Craig, if you wanted me or did you want to speak to it?
Well, I think they've looked at it. If they have any
Yeah.
questions, which I'm sure you do.
I think it's going to involve a much bigger discussion. I mean,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
these are still big ticket items that don't include water and sewer, and that
Right.
takes us out of the the
State revolving fund.
the SRF funding, which means it's going to cost more to borrow still a lot of money, and then water and sewer still needs to go in and fix the pipes and dig it up again. So I think it's penny wise and pound foolish to do a project of that magnitude without, considering everything else that needs to be done and making sure we have the best options for funding.
We also have the electric pole issue.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way we can get around it. It's a big,
Yeah.
you've done what you can with what you're working with now. You've filled some major potholes, but it's only temporary. It just gets worse and worse. So
Yeah, I think
we need a
we need to do something.
we need a much bigger conversation.
Yeah,
and I
just-
appreciate you getting these quotes, but
It's either that or we just grind the road up and pave it.
yeah, and again, it's a 5-year road. Then it's not a 20-year road,
Right.
and you just do it again and pay that money all over again. I had somebody visiting me the other day and said, "Why don't you just turn this into a dirt road?" And I, would almost appreciate that on Smith Hill. Then,
Right.
what would I have
Yeah,
to drive
really.
over? Because you can grade it every once in a while. But I digress. Anyway,
that would
it
look
is a
better. That would
huge
be better.
conversation, and we need to be real
there's
serious
just
about this.
there's one number on there, and that's, if everybody's familiar with where Mike Latulip's old shop was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So from there, coming down towards the monument is
Yeah.
all newer pipe. It was
Right.
put in probably in 1994, I think.
Yeah.
So looking at they had all those pipes cambered. There is some deviation in them a little bit.
Yeah.
But the contractor feels that they're not gonna get any worse.
Yeah.
They've settled, and if we haven't had any problem with them, we're probably not gonna have any problem with them. So if you want to save some money, we could start there and go forward.
Go forward to River Street.
Yep,
Okay.
and do it all, and that's it.
Well, clearly that section of
That's-
road is a whole lot better than.
Yeah, so that,
Rest
if
of it.
you look at, can't remember where it is, I think it says it in there, it's a lot less money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Saves us quite a chunk of money.
Right.
If we would still,
The drainage and road surface only, is that?
no, it says in there from Mike
The
Latulip's
tulip
shop.
shop
Yeah.
to the bottom of Thompson Street, including Smith Hill and High
Yeah,
Street?
and so
Yeah.
that dollar figure is much less than
Mm-hmm.
1.9 million.
167,200.
Yeah, that's drainage
Yeah, I
and road
guess.
surface only, from Monument to
Right.
River Street.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't do that section of road.
Right.
Which is fairly new, it's more
Right.
modern. When we'd still be able to do the grant
Yeah.
with the state. But it's gonna save us a little bit of money.
Yeah.
I think that's what the,
Okay, so you're still talking about doing the whole thing with water and sewer from Mike Latulip's shop, whatever
Right.
the address on Thompson,
Right.
to River Street.
to River Street.
Including Smith Hill and High. Yeah.
Street.
Okay. Well, that could
And
help.
then there are other options where you
Yeah.
can just pull out High Street,
Yeah.
and let's take High Street out, not, because there's no water up, there's
Mhm.
only
Yeah.
service lines up
Right.
there, I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's no big drainage problem.
Right.
So we just save that road for
For another time.
5 years from now.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So
good
there's-
idea.
Yeah.
And that
That is a
number is
plus.
in there
Yeah.
too, what we'd save.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of little saving features that I
Right.
tried to come up with but we probably should have a sit-down meeting, a work session.
We should, with
And-
Rusty and,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So this is just a preliminary
well,
thing.
much
I know it's
appreciated that
coming
you've
out
done this
and we need
legwork.
some more
Yes.
information, so-
Okay.
How about Rusty, you have anything to comment on the water and sewer side?
We went from Mike's old shop up, that's just water, there's
Yeah.
no sewer.
Oh, no
No
sewer,
sewer,
okay.
yeah.
Right.
So,
But the
Oh,
water,
sewer stops with tulips?
yes.
Oh, okay.
but as I
It's just-
understand it, the water toward River Street is really problematic in terms of the layout of the pipes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
from that section to
Yeah.
River Street is.
Okay. Great. Well, we need to discuss this soon. It's really important. Okay, thank you, Craig. Go ahead, Charlie.
One last update, the TAP grant. Council, I actually talked to council today about finishing the temporary construction easements. I'm hoping to get those on Wednesday to send to DOT for approval.
Okay.
And then we'll contact the property owners.
Okay, great. No construction until next year.
He says project start date September
Was there
2016.
there's something else that you wanted to affirm about the TAP grant, Charlie?
Yes, we got confusion about where it begins and where it ends. The project
Oh.
does not go up West Street. It starts
Right.
at the bottom of West Street and goes
Right.
down to Gordon and then around up
Yeah.
Gordon.
And I'm not sure where that confusion came from, because this is always the project that we
Yes,
proposed,
it
was the Main Street, nothing,
That's
you know,
right.
and that
That's right.
West Street and Winter Street were
Were not-
proposed for a Phase 2
Right, they
program
weren't
that
included.
was not approved, and,
Yeah.
you know,
That's
we can
right.
still try to get those in the future, they're still important. And I think what we were doing at the end of West Street was to prepare for future sidewalk
Yeah.
Right.
construction up West Street. Obviously, we want to see it done, but that has never been in the plan, so I'm not sure why people assumed that it was, and we changed our minds.
Well, wasn't this a safe route from school grant originally?
No, it was originally
What was it
talked
talked
about.
about? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the Transportation Alternative Program, but we had these conversations along with Safe Routes to School, and that, I
Right.
think that all of those other grants, like Safe Routes to School, fed into the
Okay.
TAP ultimately, so, yeah.
But that's why Gordon Street.
Gordon Street, it was because of
included.
the safe route, because we were thinking
Right.
about the kids walking
Right.
down to the,
Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody asked me that just last week,
yeah,
and
okay, thank you,
that's why I said Gordon Street, because it was a safe route from the school.
absolutely. Okay, Charlie?
Oh, I have a couple other things just under select board items.
Well, you're gonna,
Okay,
Okay, our next meeting, usually we go back to the school, but the meeting where we would go back is Labor Day, and the
Oh, yeah.
school
Oh.
board will be meeting in the
Same
cafeteria
night.
on the same night. So basically, we want
you
to have our
should come
next
back here.
come back here next Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
parking
Or,
gets
sorry,
to be a
September.
problem if there's a school board
Yeah.
meeting plus
Yes.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit,
So it's still here.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll make
Are
that.
we gonna meet at the school at all, or are we gonna stay here for,
We certainly can talk about that. There's no reason not to go back to the school.
or there's no
But-
reason not
No,
to stay here?
well, that's also true.
True.
You know, this has some advantages
Yeah.
and well, we'll discuss that, but at least the next meeting will be here.
Is it okay if planning board uses this?
I don't see why not.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
a great,
Okay with me.
great space.
Yeah.
Yep,
Sure.
okay.
Last thing, we need a vote on town.
Oh, wait a minute, who's gonna have the key for planning board? Somebody will have to come in and unlock the door.
Caitlin,
Caitlin.
Oh,
Caitlin?
you worked that
Caitlin.
out? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Marty usually picks
Yeah.
it up too.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know how you were doing this.
Yeah. But, you know, we just wanted to make sure it was okay, and so you guys know.
This is a nice meeting space.
Yeah.
Do you want to vote on town meeting day?
Yes,
oh,
February 1st.
Yeah.
Do I need a motion?
I'll make the motion to have town meeting day February 1st, and the snow day will be what, a week
The
later?
8th, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Yeah.
All those-
Time.
What did we do last year? I like last year.
Was it 10
It was
o'clock?
10.
Yeah,
I
instead
know.
of
It was
10, wasn't it?
It
It was
10.
controversial.
I know.
No
well,
matter what time we
you
have
can't
it.
please all the
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
but I hate having it late in the
All
afternoon and then
afternoon.
you're, you know, getting into the dinner out. No.
Did you say 9?
No, I think we said
10.
I
10.
think 10.
10.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're really pushing it.
Yeah.
I like early.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
It's already here.
All right. All right. Other select board items.
Other than what I mentioned earlier, I found the meeting with Primex, at least I understood what he was talking about.
Yeah.
The Vespa.
Yeah.
It's a lot of technical information. I understood the basic overview, but when they go into, they were starting to really,
Yeah.
talk shop.
Technical.
Back-
Yeah. That's when I tune out.
But we have a lot of work to do with the electric department.
We do. Yeah.
I don't even know how to even describe it. It's in many ways it's horrifying that we have to try to figure this out. I don't even know how we're going to sit down and even try to figure out a budget. To be honest with you.
Well, that's why we have a consultant.
Yeah.
Yes, and
Yeah.
and
Yep.
he, what I like about him, he understands all the technical stuff, but he's able to tell us
Yeah.
in plain language.
Right.
At least I could understand what he was talking about. Eli, any thoughts on
Well,
him?
Dick Joyce, the consultant,
Yep.
Right,
is very positive about the eventual
Yeah.
outcome
Yep.
for the electric department.
right.
I mean, already, just talking about the power purchased from Squam Hydro, that's $120,000.
Right.
That's a positive
Yeah.
thing.
Yep.
Now, we do have, other things are starting to come into play. The little raise in rates, the raise in the, it's starting to make a difference. Yes, we have to purchase a set amount until 2023, absolutely. But the cost-cutting measures that have going into effect through Charlie and Mr. Joyce
Will pay off.
will work.
Yeah. Well, that's
It-
good.
Like anything else, it is going to take
Time.
some time.
It's only been 6 months, that's what I tell
And-
people, 6 months.
It's taken us
Yeah.
6 months to figure out where we are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
We're still finding things out.
yes, we're
Yes,
still
I
finding,
agree.
He gives very good
Things-
explanations at meetings, though, of things. He's very clear.
yes, and if we can weather the storm,
We will.
With this.
We shall. With this.
we shall weather it. It would be profitable.
Yeah. And that's what we need to keep our
Yeah.
eyes on. Yep.
Yep.
But I think we need to be honest, finding a superintendent or a working foreman is gonna be very difficult.
You know,
Yep.
there are those out there, and it's going to cost us some
Yeah.
money. But a working foreman,
When we say working foreman, that's what Craig is, basically, in a way. Not a foreman, but you actually, you get out there and you work with the
And
men.
Rusty,
And it's the
too.
same with Rusty.
Yeah.
it's not a white shirt.
That's right,
No.
it's not somebody sitting in their
Yeah.
office in front of the computer or whatever. It's
Right.
somebody that gets out there and is actually
Yeah.
working with the men and getting the projects done. And that's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in the meantime, Dick and I are going to meet with New Hampshire Electric next week to try to see if we can get some type of arrangement
Oh, good.
set up that they will help us in case we have
The
a
co-op.
power.
That's
or,
good.
Yeah,
That's
that's what I
maybe
was
they can
hoping.
pick up some
Yeah, wonderful.
on-call if we need
Yeah.
like equipment
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah,
we're
that's what I
gonna, we're gonna
suggested a
initiate
while
that
ago.
conversation.
Speaking
with
of
the person.
equipment, what are we gonna
Good.
do about, there was some discussion about the rental truck.
The rental truck. Well, I'm waiting for that conversation with them.
Okay.
Because they
Oh, okay,
need
yeah,
they
yeah.
need the truck for the transformer at the septic receiving project, which is supposed to be delivered pretty soon. So that type of equipment, that transformer's heavy,
Yeah.
and that truck can handle the weight.
Okay.
But I was just waiting
Yeah.
to get a
To be
clarification.
honest, the truck has not been used since April, and it's rented at how much a month?
$2,600
A month.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Yeah, so it's things like this that are just leaking money
Yeah.
that we're just finding this out. I don't know why.
Wow.
Well,
Okay.
It-
Another conversation.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's been
Yeah.
difficult, I think, for everybody to find the
Yeah.
information.
Well, we've
It's
spent
got-
6
yeah.
months and trying to sort it all out.
Right.
So the other thing is the meeting with Primex. It was I thought it was
Yeah.
extremely
It was, and
informative.
I appreciate you taking the meeting, even though I
Yes.
couldn't attend.
Yeah, and they gave us the
but,
tools
yeah.
that we need.
I think
the-
it's important
handout.
information that we
And-
have.
And we need to sit down and have a conversation about this, so everybody's on
Yeah.
the same page.
Right.
And we have, like I said, we have the contracts to give to people.
Yeah.
And the major thing is transferring the risk away from the
Absolutely.
town onto the people who want to use the
Right.
property.
Speaking about conversations, we need to get back to, excuse me, finishing the evaluation criteria for the town manager.
Oh, yes.
It's getting to be that time.
Oh, yeah.
And I certainly don't want to do that at the regular meeting.
No.
And, I know it's difficult for you, Casey, but, if we could meet a couple of mornings and just knock this thing out and be
Yeah.
done so that we can
do
actually
that.
employ it as a tool. Not to think you need to be evaluated, Charlie. I'm just sure
Oh,
everything's
yes,
gonna
oh,
knock it out.
yes. Oh,
Knock it
It's
out.
not about me, it's the
No,
position.
no, it is the position.
The position,
So
yeah.
we really need to finish that. So what are your thoughts on having a meeting at some point?
I'm for a meeting,
fine.
I'm flexible.
Eli?
Yeah,
My
Lee?
Monday
I'm
mornings
here,
are
I'm
tied
fine
up.
right now.
All right, that doesn't have to be Monday morning. Casey, any time that you could join us, or or late in the day, or,
Like soon?
well, we need to get it done in the
Done, yeah.
next 2 or 3 weeks, I think.
Okay, because I was gonna say I was busy the next 2 or 3 weeks, but that's okay.
Well, you have the criteria.
That's a range.
Please, send your thoughts to Charlie.
Until like after Labor Day.
Okay.
My work is pretty tight.
Okay. Well, we'll probably have at least one meeting after Labor Day as well. And we'll try to arrange it around your schedule, because obviously we want your input as well. But give the criteria a look and see what your thoughts are, and send them off to Charlie.
All right.
Don't reply to all.
Yes.
Okay, send your thoughts directly to Charlie.
And then Charlie will
And
send them out to
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
Okay.
So, in the next couple weeks, guys, what?
Sorry, I was gonna say, the next couple of weeks you should be getting the budget. And I
well,
don't know how
that's-
the board wants to meet with the department heads.
Heads, chairmans,
Yeah, we've got to do that too.
what date you looking at for the
I'm-
meeting?
I don't really care. So let's see, next week, you said you can't do Monday, Tuesday?
I can do Monday after 11.
Okay.
Tuesday's good.
Tuesday? Here, 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock?
Okay. What's the
Lee?
date on
Yep,
that?
that's,
The 27th?
27.
yeah, I think that's good with
Okay,
me.
so,
What'd you say, 10?
10.
Yeah.
yeah, good, okay. And I will bring the computer and maybe we can project it up onto the screen and,
Okay,
Ooh.
so,
that'd be
Yeah,
good, that'd
yeah.
be nice.
Yep.
yeah, okay, good. Any other
Handy.
select board items?
No,
In that case, let me, as soon as I get this on my calendar, come on, move. Okay, I will entertain a motion to go into non-public according to RSA 91A:3, Roman numeral 2, small letter L, which is legal.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.